All right, friends, today we're going to be ranking all of the queer resources and organizations available. We're going to be vibe checking them and seeing if they pass or not. Welcome to the Rainbow Y Survival Guide. Encircle. Complicated. Very much individual type. I would say it's a mixed bag, but I think they probably more try to gear towards like queer members than they do non-members. But I would imagine non-members are like still welcome, obviously. Really good when they first started. I think that they've kind of lost a little bit of their vision. I think they're trying to have a really broad range of help. I think that could be to their detriment sometimes because broad doesn't always leave you resources to go deep or have a little bit more dimension in that kind of way. They do have services that are helpful. I don't want to discredit that. There's some red tape stuff that's a little bit annoying about how they operate as an organization, but they do good work for the space that they're trying to fill. I'm happy that they're around more than I am unhappy about the process of which they've gone about developing and becoming. Utah Pride Center. Complicated. Really good for what they do. They're a community-based organization. They seem to, I think with a lot of community-based organizations, struggle with like consistent leadership. What they do offer is great. I think it's a good place. I think they could use a little bit of strengthening. I don't know if that means they need more funding. I don't know if that means they need more volunteers or just like staffing, or if they need more structure to kind of help them do things, but what they do is fantastic. Primarily they're going for non-members. Equality Utah. Macro work is difficult because it can be really dissatisfying in the way that it goes about progress. So Equality Utah is one of those like macro, it's doing a lot of legislature, it's doing a lot of like being in the rooms that we're all not going to be in to try to like advocate for queer individuals, queer people's lives. That needle doesn't always move all the time at the speed that I would like personally. But I think overall they do a lot of good work. I'm sure we would be worse off without them. Very appreciative of what they do. 10 out of 10. Good for them. Mama Dragons, beautiful, wonderful, no notes. Fantastic. They aim to be like supportive, caregiving, parent-like figures for those who don't feel like they have that when they come out, for those who also potentially lose that when they come out from their families. They kind of more operate on that like social level of trying to be like a supportive, safe space. So I mean, showing up at Pride, having support groups. Important to note that the entire organization is run by ex-Mormon or non-member individuals. They have acceptance towards all queer kids regardless of membership of the LDS Church. And so, if that suits your fancy. Project Rainbow is a very simple service. I have worked with them in some capacity. I love Roberto. They put flags up. They show up to events. They're a very active part of their community. Also very willing to probably help you connect with resources in a variety of ways. North Star, from my understanding, North Star is an organization that's trying to help basically people who are queer that want to stay within the LDS Church and live by those teachings, try to navigate that space. I don't have high recommendations as far as like going there. If you're really wanting to try to be in that line of Mormon and queer, I mean, North Star will definitely try to help you get there. But that's what I have to say about that. An important thing to note is that North Star was a pretty big advocate for mixed orientation marriages. While they don't actively support that and actively maybe like pursue that type of ideology, you may likely feel residual sentiments of that ideology within the curriculum of what you get taught there at North Star. Affirmation is a similar organization. I would say, this is my take, if there's kind of like a line of like being queer and being Mormon, North Star is a little bit more polar in that kind of way. I would say Affirmation closes that gap. Personally, I have a hard time with wanting, again, to suggest sustainable long-term like well-being of trying to navigate being queer and Mormon. But I would say that Affirmation does a better job at doing that with some flexibility within those two identities to where there's a little bit less conflict. Isn't so strictly like you got to be one or the other. They have conferences, they have get-togethers, they have resources available. Another stepping stone type of organization in the process of really stepping into your queer identity. In terms of like trying to build community, trying to build friendship, and you're wanting to find more queer people in the Mormon space, it's a big organization. It's one of the more popular, one of the more bigger ones. Their conference every year is a hot ticket item, and you'll find a lot of people there to kind of build community that will think similarly as you do, and are also trying to go through similar transitions as you are. Regarding LDS services, as a professional, as a therapist, I would not recommend any queer person going and utilizing their services. We'll have a whole video. You'll get all the juicy details of why I think that later. Now we're talking about BYU specific support groups and how fun they are. Rainbow Collective is fantastic. I've worked with them personally. Shout out Gracie, shout out Maddie. Shout out everyone at the Rainbow Collective. They do events, they do their own pride, workshops, they provide and try to connect with resources, all that jazz. More expression. You can have a lot more flexibility, I would say, in your expression, and a lot more flexibility in your exploration of queerness. And you'll have a lot of people who will be there to support you, who will be there to kind of mentor, help, connect, affirm, all that jazz. This organization has a bit more participation than USGA. There's more people involved, and so you could have that might be a little bit more of like a social buff if you're looking for that social connection and that community connection. Cool Pride's sick. I like them. Similar to Rainbow Collective. They do pretty similar things. As of 2026, Out Foundation, incredible. Shout out Gracie, shout out John Valdez, shout out all the other people that are involved. They do a lot of connective work, meaning that they're connecting you to resources. Connection to Flourish Therapy, a free therapy program, transfer fund, an emergency fund is a program that you could apply for to basically getting kicked out of your house because you came out, wanting to switch schools because BYU is not your vibe anymore because you're gay about it. If you're queer and that you were just kind of going through an emergency of some sort. Scholarship fund, school fees, registration, all that jazz. Events, alumni get together. They're actually a across the nation organization. They have BYU alum meetups. I would say this organization has to do a lot more with like the transition out of BYU. You'll find community that's not just BYU students. You'll find that there for sure, but you'll find more as well. Here's what I will say about these types of organizations. Membership is important. Every semester, or like when the main body of students that are kind of a part of the leadership of these organizations, when that moves on and when that gets refreshed, it is really important to be able to have people to be there, not to replace, but to like be a part of that transition. I feel like there's a lot of momentum that gets lost in those transitions when it comes to like this movement as a whole. No fault of anything other than the fact that like, that's life, baby. But seeking them out, seeing if they need help, going to their events, volunteering, being a part, sharing your skills, taking up space. That's what I would say. Here's the main principle. From when I started doing the research project and trying to find resources and trying to get an idea of like what was available to now, resources are meant to be kind of like a stepping stone. Let me compare it to like coping skills. Coping skills are supposed to help us like deal with things when we're having a hard time. They're not supposed to be a place where we're living in all the time. Same with resources. If we feel like we're going to be able to utilize them and they're going to satisfy the things that we need forever, we're going to be disappointed in the fact that like resources aren't able to do that. Resources are there to help us as kind of like scaffolding to build our own infrastructure. So it's important to know that like whether you're a Mormon and you're trying to be queer and make that work, whether you're transitioning from that to, oh, I can't make queerness and Mormonism work, to, oh, I'm just going to be queer and like religion or Mormonism in general. It's important that I think that there are stepping stones within those transitions that helps those processes. And so I think it's just important to know that like resources are meant to be more of like stepping stones to get you where you need to be, rather than these places that you kind of like hunker down and reside in forever. Hopefully you outgrow them. Hopefully you move on. Hopefully that you get what you need and then you go to the next stepping stone. That's kind of the idea of resources. So when you're looking for resources, that's what I think would be helpful to keep in mind, is that you're not looking for a one-stop shop that'll fix everything. You're looking for the stepping stones that will help you get to where you need to be, whatever that is for you. And as always, friends, stay alive, stay safe, stay gay. See ya.